Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Thornburg, and I'm answering the question, should moms receive vaccines while they are pregnant? It's a huge question. I received this question quite a bit. I'm going to go through the different vaccines. I'm also going to discuss the immune systems of both mom and the fetus. I'm going to discuss the studies that have been done to show the safety in the baby if mom receives it while she's pregnant. There are 3 vaccines that are typically administered or at least offered during pregnancy. The Tdap vaccine, the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis vaccine. There's the flu vaccine and the RSV vaccine. The flu and RSV vaccine are offered seasonally since those diseases do not occur all year round typically. The Tdap vaccine is offered all year round. The thought is if we give mom the vaccine, it does 2 things while she's pregnant. First, the mom's Th1 immune system decreases in its effectiveness because that is the hand-to-hand warriors of our immune system, and we don't want mom's immune system not recognizing the fetus and then saying this object needs to be removed, and then the mother's immune system attacks the baby, and then we lose the pregnancy. So the mom's Th1 system is suppressed. Similarly, the baby's Th1 system is also suppressed because, again, we don't want the baby's immune system, even though the baby's immune system is very immature and not fully functioning like an adult, we still don't want that Th1 system in the baby starting to activate hand-to-hand combat with anything outside of itself. Purposely, the Th1 system is suppressed. The downside of that is the Th1 system helps fight against viruses, and viruses are intracellular inside the cell entities. If we're suppressing the Th1 system, which does the hand-to-hand combat, which particularly is aimed to fight intracellular pathogens like viruses, then that makes mom more at risk for the flu or for the RSV herself. And so one thought is to help protect the mom. Then the second thought is, well, then the antibodies that mom makes because she received these vaccines will pass through the placenta, and then the baby will have these antibodies to protect against these diseases for the first 6 months of life when the baby is really quite naive and hasn't experienced these diseases and can't receive some of these vaccines for a certain period of time after delivery, that this helps protect the baby. That's the reason and the logic behind administering these vaccines. When we look at the Tdap vaccine, the Adacel vaccine, the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis vaccine, it does contain aluminum. Other ingredients include formaldehyde. The RSV vaccine does contain aluminum, polysorbate 80, histidine, and histidine hydrochloride. And the other unique part about the RSV vaccine that is given to pregnant moms is that it's actually not a viral vaccine. It is a lab, man-made, created with 3D imaging vaccine. Tdap vaccine includes true diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. The flu vaccine contains true flu strains. The RSV vaccine administered to mom does not contain true RSV. What it does is it contains a computerized 3D manufactured RSV-like synthetic man-made protein. And then the flu vaccine does not contain aluminum. It does contain polysorbate 80, can contain gelatin, it contains formaldehyde, and it also contains octophenol ethoxylate. So it has a lot of other ingredients. It's very inflammatory by itself, so it doesn't need any adjuvants. Now that we have established that the Th1 system is suppressed, that there is a purpose for that, that the second reason that we're administering these vaccines is to provide antibodies to the baby so the baby can have protection. In addition to providing the antibodies to the baby, we're also administering aluminum hydroxide, which is a known neurotoxin. Again, the aluminum is added as an adjuvant to make sure that we're getting a robust response from the immune system so we can make sure that the mom is developing an adequate number of antibodies to help protect against those specific diseases. The aluminum is there for a purpose, but like everything, it has a downside, and that is it is a neurotoxin. And recall, this is administered to mom while she's pregnant, while the baby's brain is developing, and we're administering a known neurotoxin, and that neurotoxin can pass through the placenta. There's also, in addition to the aluminum that passes through, is when mom encounters a disease, there is an inflammatory response inside of mom, just like in all of us. So there is a cytokine storm, we'll call it. Really, cytokines are inflammatory markers that help create a cascade of inflammation throughout the body so the body can be prepared. prepared to fight an infection. And so those are also passing into the baby. So it's not just a very innocent, some antibodies passing into the baby. There's also a lot of inflammation. There's the excipients like aluminum, and there is the formaldehyde. And this is all going into a baby that has a developing immune system, a developing neurological system, in addition to every other organ system that is developing. The last point I want to address is what studies have been shown to show long-term safety by administering these vaccines to mom. Well, it's clear that we know that the antibodies will cross over. It just makes sense, and that's established. But what we don't know is what is the aluminum doing to a baby's nervous system long-term? Is this contributing to autism? We don't know. There's been no studies. There's 0 studies. What is the formaldehyde doing to any of the organ systems inside of a developing fetus? Don't know. There's no studies. We haven't studied it. What is the cytokine storm doing to a developing fetus? Again, we don't know. So if you want to pigeonhole the issue and just say, well, we're contributing antibodies that the baby can't make, and so therefore is the protection against disease, certain that makes sense. If you pigeonhole the issue and you don't round out to create informed consent, then sure, you could sell that all day long. But once you round it out and create informed consent and you start discussing what do we know and what do we not know, and the fact is we don't know what the long-term effects of administering these vaccines to pregnant moms and what these excipients can do to the baby. And as I've mentioned in other videos, I've already discussed how when we use an adjuvant like aluminum, which uncouples the Th1 and Th2 system, and we already have a suppressed Th1 system in both mom and fetus, and now we're administering the aluminum, which causes an increased level of Th2, well, we know that that leads to chronic disease, allergies, asthma, and is this the cause for a lot of these chronic diseases, the 40% of chronic diseases that all American kids have right now? And we haven't studied it. If you choose to take these vaccines while you're pregnant, know that yes, you will pass antibodies. You will be using, in one case, the RSV vaccine, a lab manufactured virus-like protein, and that you're passing aluminum into a fetus that is developing, and aluminum is a known neurotoxin and is known to uncouple the Th1 and Th2 system. And we know when the Th1 and Th2 system get uncoupled, then it's more likely to lead to chronic disease. 40% of American children have chronic diseases, and we don't know why. Thanks.